I have a freshman at Indiana University, grandson. He went to Glenbrook North and fell in love with welding. Now this kid's really smart, but fell in love with welding. And he's like, I don't think my parents, he'll talk to me, but he won't talk to them. It's like that. So he said, I really love this and I really want to do this. And I said, great, do it. Really? Yeah, why not? If you love it, why not do it? You want to get up every day and go worry about a spreadsheet, or you want to worry about the crane broke down, you want to do that? Go do what you really like to do.
When we find our passion, when we find the thing that we can't stop thinking about, when we find the thing that just draws us in like a magnet, and when we find something that we can either do in collaboration with other people who we care about, or even if necessary on our own, but it's when you're falling asleep at night, it's in the back of your mind, and when you wake up in the morning, it's in the back of your mind. That's humanity at its best. We've somehow superimposed on the way that we bring up kids this very rigid set of formulas. This is right, but that's wrong. This is good, but that's bad. This will make me proud of you. That will make me want to redirect you. And we're pushing people away from the passion that drives them, that allows them to be their best selves. And so I guess what I'm thinking is, let's not do that. Let's do the opposite of that.
Here we go. Hey. Hey.
How's it going?
It's going well, man.
We just jumped in. We're just going to go right into this, I guess.
Let's jump in.
We're all professionals.
Yeah, we try.
Usually start with talking about your yoga for this morning. How did it go?
I actually did a guy's yoga thing, 4 sessions, and, the morning yoga doesn't keep up with that.
Right. So we really don't want to talk about yoga, but we have some pretty cool guests today.
Yes, we do.
But let's just kind of talk about what's going on at the school right now. Anything that we should know about that?
I did data science. We did some data science work. We have James Clyburn coming next week with the kids. He's going to meet with the kids, talk to the students. We're actually going to have a student interview him, so that's really cool. So we're really excited about that. That's our big marquee thing for next week.
That's okay. That's unbelievable. From South Carolina. He's coming all the way from South Carolina.
Yep, that's right. Kingmaker.
Beautiful. All right. Well, today, what are we talking about? We're talking about the intersection between government and construction and industry. I think that's the way to sort of frame this. When Ryan Field came to town, when the Ryan family said, "Hey, let's build a stadium," there was all kind of promises.
Was it the Ryan family or Northwestern
What was that?
that decided to build a stadium?
Northwestern said, "Let's build a stadium," and the Ryan family made a gift.
Is that what happened?
Is that the story?
You might know more than us. So, one of the reasons
I'm just asking questions here, Pat.
I understand. We're the ones asking questions, Daniel. But yes, it is. So a stadium gets made, and somebody donated a considerable amount of money to change the landscape. It's the second largest construction project in Illinois, next to the casino downtown. A big impact for our town. Obviously, lots of conversations. Way too many. We're not here to dig into all the dirt, but part of what happens when a project like this comes to town is, what is our town? I'll never forget it. I live right next door to the stadium. I saw a tree company from Lamont, Illinois, coming onto the property to take down trees, and I was like, wait. We have tree companies here, and so I'm not you, I'm not the mayor, but I think sometimes like it, and I say, what could we do to get our young people into this, or our older people who are in the trades? And I first want to celebrate and say thank you. And I want to hear kind of how it happened. Let's do some introductions first. Who are you?
My name's Daniel Biss. When I'm not deputizing the role to Pat Hughes, I'm the mayor of Evanston, and have had just the joy of working with the trade collective and with the carpenters union and many others to figure out ways to use this project as an opportunity to create pathways for Evanston youth.
Okay. And that's not something you had done before, probably.
No, I mean, it's, as an aside, it's one of the fascinating things about being mayor is you can run for mayor with all the intentions in the world to do particular things that you yourself find really motivating. And then the issues that come across your desk are the issues that come across your desk. And I think the question is, can you turn those issues into opportunities to do good?
John Kenny, thank you. Welcome to the Fired Up podcast. How many podcasts have you been on?
This one.
This one? Okay, good. Welcome.
Been on TV a lot, but
I know you have. So who are you? What brings you to this conversation? What excites you about having this conversation?
I'm excited. Well, I'm a retired contractor, Kenny Construction Company. You know, we made a decision when the family was reaching of age, and so to sell the company. So we did. And so I'm retired and have, having a life of Riley, so to speak. Growing up with my grandkids, I love it. It's fabulous.
I can't wait to get into. So we've known each other for, 30 years or so, forever, mostly from the disability story. And I hope we get to talk a little bit about that and weave that in a little bit, because I think it's.
Well, I can weave it in right now if you want.
Please.
Misericordia. My son Kevin's there. So anybody that's got extra money, we'll definitely take it.
But you actually were saying something earlier about Kevin, and we'll just kind of jump into some thoughts here. Kevin worked at your company.
He did for 28 years.
And you told me something pretty cool today, that because he was part of a company that was. Tell me what happened.
Well, when COVID hit, he had done a great job, totally functional and everything. He had a lot of learning disabilities growing up, and he went to Summit School and then came to New Trier, and then basically Lou Goldstein, who I don't know if you know, but he's their Special Olympics coach. Back then, he was Special Olympics coach. He was a great guy. He started taking all these kids and making them young men and young women, and did a great job. And just he's still involved with them to a degree. But anyhow, COVID hit, and Kevin lost everything he had. He lost all of his ability to function on his own, because now he was with his parents. So he lost that. He lost his friends. He couldn't deal with them because everybody's wearing masks and whatever. Couldn't go out, didn't go to lunch, didn't have Special Olympics, didn't have anything. And he just got very, very anxious, and we had to put him on some medication. And God forbid, Kathy and I sat down to come up with an estate plan, and she asked one person, and that one person happened to know Father Jack at Misericordia. He called him, and he said, "The room across the hall is open if you want it."
Wow.
You were there.
So let's talk about, you're running a large construction company. Mm-hmm. Some pylon. Could you go back to, I think it's what
1992?
1992. Tell us what happens, and then what.
Well, I went to work just like I always do. I was in the office at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rang, and it was the city of Chicago calling and say, can you come down here? And I said, for what? And so they told me, and they said, could you also bring a lot of pumps and all that stuff? I said, I can't bring anything till I know what I'm supposed to bring, so to speak. I got to see what the problem is. And so I went down to City Hall, and it just couldn't get anything done. I mean, there was just too many people there running around like crazy, because the city was basically going to be shut down. You could tell that. There was just not function.
Why?
Because there was a flood. And the flood was not flooded outside, it was flooded inside. It was inside, all the buildings were shutting down and everything else. The merchandise mart got it first, because that's where the first leak was, right there. It was
okay. So, a pylon had hit the wall.
They drove a pylon. Yeah, there was a construction faux pas, so to speak. So they drove a pylon through it. It eventually cracked, flooded everything, and they needed a fix, and they needed it now. So being a tunnel contractor and knowing the mayor, he called, and they get down here. So I did. And eventually I ran into him about 10 o'clock. He had, I think he was putting in the fire, or the police chief at the time. And so we got there, and he took me up to the boathouse, or, on the bridge. And he said, you want to take care of this for me? And I go, sure. But I got things I got to have. I want to only report to you. Safety is absolutely the number one thing. I will stop everything. If there's any incident whatsoever, I will stop it cold turkey, because we're going to be dealing with people. We don't know who the heck they are. So and I said, I just got to have some of my own guys here too. So he said, fine, it's all yours. Have at it.
Pete, did you know his nickname?
No.
The Flood Stud.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of,
well, that just lightened things up. Daniel, what's your nickname?
None of my nicknames are repeatable, Pete. None of them.
Well, I think you started to talk about the intersection between construction and leadership and government, and that Daniel gets us to we're going to build a stadium, an $850 million stadium, and there are all kinds of requirements or community benefits that get asked of a contractor or of a developer. Is that a messy process?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Well, it's a messy process for two reasons, one of which is not necessarily relevant for our conversation today, but just a highly controversial pressure cooker environment, and that makes everything messy. But the other reason that it's messy is that in a situation like that, where it's a giant project with a lot of different components and it's a giant university and it's a complex relationship between the university and the town, there's a million different things you might ask for. And so the question about how to prioritize those asks and how to prioritize them in a way that's consistent with the values of the community and the, frankly, pretty diverse points of view that the 9 members of city council bring to the table is tricky. But I think one thing that was pretty consistent was there was a strong push to make sure of 2 jobs-related things. One is that we were creating job opportunities for Evanstonians, and the other is that we didn't just generically do it, though there's nothing wrong with generically doing it, but that we really focused on constituencies that had extra needs that hadn't been properly served for years or decades or generations. And those were people of color who have often been locked out of the economic benefits that come from having Northwestern in this town, and youth. And, I think it's already symbolic of something really important that Pat and Pete are sitting here co-hosting this. I think that ETHS and the broader Evanston community has executed a pivot. I think for a long time, our attitude as a town, and even maybe the high school's attitude was, we're for 4-year college. The purpose of elementary school is to get you to high school, and the purpose of high school is to get you to a 4-year university. And if you don't do that, there's something wrong with you. And that is a dangerous and pretty harmful attitude. And we've started to change as a community. The high school, I think, deserves a ton of credit for this, and others in the community do too, of saying there's a lot of different pathways into a productive, thriving, happy, connected, meaningful life. And those can involve 4-year college, and they can involve a lot of different other forms of training and work. And I think that realization that the community was arriving at anyhow prior to the approval of the stadium, together with the stadium project, came together at the right time to allow something pretty special to happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I started at the high school 17 years ago, I remember joint board meetings where we were having serious discussions about 3rd graders being college ready. Serious discussions, very serious discussions. And just now you look back how absurd that is, and who gets included in that and who gets excluded and labeled in 3rd grade. And you're right. It was a college for all machine. We're one of the most educated towns in the United States in terms of master's degrees, I believe, per capita. We're way up there. If not number 1, certainly number 2 or 3. And that shift occurs over time, right? I mean, we have new leadership at the high school, but, we knew we were not servicing every kid. We weren't preparing every kid for life after high school. And, now I like to think about it as like 2 pieces of paper. You need your high school diploma and another piece of paper, another credential, a certificate that's recognized in the industry, an associate, whatever that other piece of paper, bachelor's, master's, whatever that other piece of paper is, you need another piece of paper to be successful. And I really appreciate you, Daniel, and your focus on creating these opportunities after our students graduate. The Carpenters Union being one really great example, because we have never been able to crack that, ever.
Can you just lift it up? Like what happened? What happened with the Carpenters Union? Why specifically them? Because we want to look at this model, John, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But okay, we got 8 kids into the carpenter working at Ryan Field right now. Like, really cool. 2 different sets. First 4 set, and then another group of another recruiting event created 4 more. What happened? How did that happen? And why did they come to the Trade Collective?
Well, I think to put the question in context, I think you guys are both alluding to a real frustration out there, which is that sometimes it can be hard for a young person who doesn't have the right connections or relationships to break into a trade union. There's definitely that perception out there, and I think that's something that needs to change. And to their credit, a lot of leaders in the labor movement have been working to change that. But it had been tough with the carpenters union, and basically, I did something very sophisticated, really, really complex. I just asked a bunch of times, and made it clear that this was important to our community. And I think the carpenters union, they understood that the city government was taking a risk in approving this stadium, and wanted to make sure that the benefits were felt across Evanston. And they just saw that it was in their interest to open their doors to a group of new workers who are going to be great workers and great union members, and also to show the Evanston community, hey, we are partners here, not just literally to, hammer the nails and build the stadium and allow for the taxes to get paid and the revenue to come in, but to create new pathways for Evanston youth who are potentially going to be in thriving lifelong careers with interesting, challenging work and real economic security for their families.
Thank you. I'll always be grateful for you bringing Rob Piani from the Carpenters Union here, and your trust in sending him to us. And then, I feel like we've done a good job at connecting them. It's not always perfect. I mean, we're talking about the 18 plus category of kids, the age group. These kids have graduated from the high school and they're kind of unknown. They don't know what they want to do. A couple of them think they want to be carpenters, but they showed up to this recruiting event kind of like they just really wanted work. And we've narrowed it down because of that event. And we've got 8 kids, and I'm just so proud of them. And I think they're performing well. The Rob came in today introducing us to his new business rep, and I think he's happy that he's got a team here that understands what they have to do. But without the political, I'll call it pressure, the political ask, you asked a bunch of times. Thank you. John, how do we do more of this? How do we get greedy and do more of this? And how did you do this? How did you work with, I know you had a relationship with Mayor Daley. If you wouldn't mind, just how did that work for you all?
Well, I think, anybody does as much work as we did for the city, you would always have a relationship with him. I had with, the second, Mayor Daley. So, during the flood, he basically turned it over to me, and said, if I wasn't here, he told me, call him at 3:00 in the morning. And my personality, and they're like, you're not going to call him. So you're damn right I am. It's his birthday. I said, I don't care what it is. I need an answer.
You didn't just say happy birthday?
No, I need an answer, and I need it now, and it's the middle of the night. I can't help it. So I'm calling him, and I did.
The flood is flooding.
Yeah. He and our relationship was, during that time, was something special, because not only that, but afterwards, he would call me in the office and say, get down here in an hour. I got a staff meeting going on, and we got to fix this.
Fix what?
Whatever the problem was. And so the staff is going to say in front of me to him, sell this program. And they're both sides are like, yeah, we're. And I said, forget it. You can't do it. Either one of you can't do it. You got enough money, you don't have time, and you don't have space. So you're done. Don't even bother. You're wasting your time.
Yeah. And
he goes, okay, we're done. He let me say something like that in front of everybody, that's just what I was. I was not a yes man to him, and he knew it, and he would use me for those kind of things. I think I told you the story about we took the building commissioner, Cheryl Thomas, and just get in the car, and we go to Indiana, turn around, and come back, and he sees the Falstaff Tower. Got to get out of there. He said, you can't touch it. Why? It's not yours. You can't do that. Just leave it alone. And he's like, well, it's got to come. I said, then go through the proper channels and do it. That's all simple.
Yeah.
So, there was things like that he did, and he was he's a special guy. He still is a special guy, and I really enjoyed working with him, and I enjoy him as a person and as a friend. And so he's a good guy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a question for you on, you founded Cisco.
Correct.
Could you please tell me why you founded Cisco? Because I think that there's some answers here for us in how we could replicate what Daniel has done, what Mayor Biss has done here with Carpenters Union. we're not a union town. We don't have a ready-made group of people for the next project yet. We have, I'll say, 5 years to start building. I mean, we just need to keep talking about this and doing this. Tell me why Cisco was created, if you don't mind.
Well, I negotiated a lot of the contracts with the operating engineers over the years. I started when I was 16. My dad, set me in the corner and said, just keep your mouth closed, keep your eyes, and watch all these people. Watch them like a hawk, and don't say anything. So I did. So I kind of learned at an early age how to, negotiate a contract and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I did. I did that for, many, many years. And then so I'm sitting at, as one of the industry leaders, so to speak, I guess. And everybody else taking care of their company. And I'm thinking about, we got to take care of the industry. The industry needs some serious help. We had healthcare issues at the time, big time healthcare issues, and we had to deal with that. And we couldn't deal with it, alone, meaning I was a trustee at the operating engineers under health and welfare, under everything they had, basically. So we had to do something. We had to get other people involved. So my mind said we got to have a labor management committee where we sit together and talk about things that aren't related to negotiations. Has to be. We have to sit and talk about these things. So we did. We sat down, and I got Bill Dugan right away, just like that, because he and I were pretty close friends.
And who's Bill to
he was the president.
Please answer that question in as colorful a way as possible.
He was a good friend of mine. I mean,
but he was a fascinating guy.
Oh yeah,
is my point.
Oh
He's
yeah,
an unusual, really
passionate.
interesting figure in Illinois.
Oh yeah, he was a great guy. I mean, like I said, I've known him since I was a little kid. So he used.
But
to be
what was his role?
President of the union at that time when Cisco started. Yeah, I mean, I knew him as a business agent back when he was out in the field, and that's where I was out in the field. So you become very close to these guys, and we did. Because there was issues and had to deal with issues, and we dealt with them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we just felt we had to be together as a group talking about things that affected both of us. And healthcare was a huge one. So I think I told you, we had to get some kind of a coalition together of all the trades around here. So I just started knocking on doors, and the first two were simple. The third was George Vest from the Carpenters Union. Not so easy. So
why?
Well, I knocked on the door and went in and made my presentation, and they basically threw me out. They thought I was crazy. So I said, okay, went to the door, closed the door, knocked on the door. Who's there? Came back in, and I said, okay, if you guys are so smart, why don't you step into my shoes and I can take some time off and go back and do my job instead of trying to help the industry? Why don't you guys come and do what I'm doing? Now we kind of like what you're doing. We'll join you. Just like that. So now we got the carp. So we started getting the 3, 4, 5, 6 big ones. Mm-hmm. Then all the other trades, they had no choice but to come, because this is gonna. I mean, I told you, Ernie Kumro and I walked into Rush Hospital, and said, we need you to lower the cost of healthcare to our funds. It's outrageous.
And now you're a bundled group of funds.
Correct.
A bunch of groups of different unions.
Huge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what's the benefit of collecting these things? What is the net benefit at the end of the day?
Well, strength brings power, and power brings results. To me, that's the way it worked. And so we go into like I said, rush and demand. I demand. I mean, because I told you,
how many thousands of people, right?
Yeah, I can demand at that point, and people thought I was crazy, and which I probably am.
No,
but I said, this is what we're going to do.
Okay,
and we're going to pull everybody out of here.
Daniel, when you hear this, what do you think about?
I mean, it overwhelms me a little bit, and just thinking about the scale, mm-hmm. right? And I think, what we've done here in Evanston is a little tiny seed, right? It's 8 young people who are going to hopefully have a really extraordinary experience, and then tell their younger siblings, and then the word's going to spread, and then kids at ETHS are going to be talking about, wait a second, do you hear what happens if you join the Carpenters Union? And I think that your point about size bring power basically is really important, and I think we're in this very exciting, scary moment of just being in the very beginning of something, and I think as we imagine what happens as it grows, I think you start to see really incredible opportunity for Evanston kids.
Yeah. And I think, like I said before, one of the things, from a family-owned business, and there's a bunch of us, there are family-owned businesses in the industry that we have families working for us too. So, father, son, and maybe even sometimes a grandson. And that is huge because like you said, and you're right, it sells not only in the family, but it sells to the community. Why would you be working at Kenny Construction Company? Your father, your grandfather, you. I mean, why? Because it's a great place to work. Why is it a great place to work? Man, I'm in a union. I get the benefits I get a heck of a health, probably the best health. All of my people in all the years I worked at Kenny, every one of them in the union had a better healthcare program than I did, and I'm the owner of the company. And that's a fact. That's not even, because I did all the healthcare for us. That's a fact. And they had jobs, and they got paid a lot of money to do a job in the construction industry that we all enjoyed. So it was simple. Just go do it. And the problem is you got to get out there and sell it. That's the thing. And I think what you're doing here is great. I think you got to start at the school.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Go back. Why do we need to go back down to high school?
If the numbers I heard were, and they're staggering, that 25% of the kids don't graduate from Evanston High School.
They graduate, they don't go to college.
They don't go to college.
Okay. So they graduate, they don't go to college.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a different situation. So why are we not taking those kids, and we should be taking them when they're young because they know they're not going to work to college. You know what? I'm going to tell you this, and I'll say it straight from now. I went to college.
Pete,
Here we go.
Yeah, buckle up. I went to college, and I needed college like I needed a hole in the head.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one.
Are you saying that because your family had a business and you didn't need it? Is that what you're saying? Or
no,
are you saying
I didn't need it?
Didn't,
I went because that's what everybody did.
That's what everybody did.
So everybody did. My parents said,
Everybody
okay,
signs
you're
off on
going
that.
here and that's where you're going and all that. Okay, great. And so I did. But did I need it when I'm done? No. You know why? Because I said when I was in 7th grade, my grandfather and father would take me down in Chicago. We were doing telephone tunnels. Take me down there, meet the crews, watch how everything is operating, and learn and learn and learn. And that's what I did. I mean, my grandfather said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to have my driver pick you up and take you to work every day. You're going to go to work.
Wow.
I was cleaning toilets, doing microfiche and microfilm, all that. Every stinking job you could do. Then work in the shop for years, doing whatever. I loved it. I mean, it was just every day, And like I said, it gets in your blood and you really do love it.
Yeah.
You have to.
Daniel, I'm thinking about, as a math person,
Yeah, I went to college.
I know. I mean,
I'm not sure if it's a good idea.
And you
but I went
taught
to
at the
college.
University of Chicago. I know all this, but I'm sort of thinking about when a community is healthy, right? When a community is healthy, I don't. This may be a little too foo-foo, but aren't we missing something if we're just? What could talk to me about react to
100%. I mean, so I believe this very strongly, right? That we should not have the idea that the ideal outcome of high school is you go to college and then, hey, for the folks who can't hack it, we'll figure out something else. That is the wrong attitude. I think that there are different paths that work for different people that allow each unique human being to use the skills they have and apply the passions they have and the interests they have to do what's both meaningful and contributes to society. And, it's just ridiculous. If you actually zoom all the way out and think, is every person who's a college graduate doing a traditional college graduate's job contributing more to society than someone who builds the buildings that we require to function as a society? What are we talking about?
Here we are.
It's nonsense.
There it is.
So
It's nonsense.
I've heard you say this, and personalize it. You have 2 kids.
Yeah, so I have 2 kids.
Right?
I've got a senior and a sophomore. My senior is applying to college right now. My senior is a textbook kid who ought to go to college, who's going to thrive in college. It's the right thing for our senior. I don't know if it's right for our sophomore. And I think particularly as a parent who, loves these 2 kids and knows them as well as I know anyone, it's not about one being smarter. It's not none of that. It's just about the interests and the passions and every human being interfaces with the world differently. And for some people, the classroom and abstract book learning is the right way to interface with the world. And for other people, hands-on, touching, doing, puzzling things out yourself, solving problems through action are the right way forward. And it just seems like we're really devaluing people and telling ourselves a fairy tale that's wrong about humanity if we insist on acting as though one is better than the other. It's just wrong.
So I appreciate hearing that. And we've been fighting that battle with parents for a while. What do you say to parents who say, come on, Daniel, you know college is the best thing? I mean, it's nice for the other kids, but come on. What do you say? I'm just curious, like conversation, cocktail party, everybody's talking about their kid going off to college. How do you what do you say? Because I mean, I know what I say.
I think it's a huge uphill battle. I worry about it all. I'm watching my senior in the, for whom college is definitely the right thing, but in the college sweepstakes and the kids are comparing and there's clearly a lot of pressure from home and, and I think the best way to connect it is through personal narrative, right? When I was a high school senior, I was laser focused on elite education and getting into a fancy school and doing all that. And I did all that and I don't regret it or anything. But when I look at what were the most meaningful experiences in my life or what brought me where I am today, or just frankly, comparing where I am today to the trajectory I thought I was on back then, there's no comparison. The life is full of coincidences and happenstance and making the most of it and throwing yourself into the opportunities that present themselves instead of following somebody else's formula about what success is, I think is the way to be both happy and fulfilled, but also successful.
Yeah. I think permissioning that too as a parent for your kid is a big deal.
All right. We have the mayor saying this. I just want to go back to this government, an elected leader. I could ask Rob Piani at the Carpentry Jr. or something, but I could ask him 20 times and he's not going to do Jack Diddley. All right. What is Jack Diddley? But anyway,
I think there's apparently some rules, but we're not allowed to say.
I don't know where we're going.
but what I'm saying is, there's a difference. What have you learned as a mayor in a political office? What's a different? Why you asking a question is different than me asking a question?
Yeah, it's been very interesting, right? And it's not to get too far in the weeds here, but you talk about Mayor Daley and the mayor of Chicago and mayors of most big cities in America, they've got a ton of actual power. They can, with the stroke of a pen, make things happen. And that's how folks think about the mayor's job, because those are the famous mayors we know about. Mayor of a town like Evanston I don't have those powers. I'm not the chief executive of the city government. And most mayors of the American cities that aren't the biggest cities are just like that. And so what you have,
because we have a city form of government,
we've got a city manager form of government. So there's so there's another guy called Luke Stowe. He's a city manager and he's kind of the CEO. And it's funny, he and I go for a walk together on the street and people don't pull him over and say, hey, can you fix this for me? They stop me, but he's the one who can actually solve their problems. Pete Bavis knows something about this.
Yeah.
So
I know who to call.
Yeah. Well, and it's a little bit similar in the school district.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
But what you can do is you can bring people together. Mm-hmm. What you can do is you reflect to the best of your ability the preferences and the will of the community. And so if you choose your words carefully, you're speaking for the community. And when you do that, people tend to listen. And so what I've had to do as mayor is learn how to use that toolkit, not a bunch of, pens that let me sign decrees that just happen, but the ability to bring people together and speak for the community and find ways to push the institutions in the community to work better together so that we're all pulling in the same direction. It's been very meaningful.
Well, I'll just say Rob came in here today and was very appreciative of you and your relationship. So thank you for that. Thanks for building that for our town.
Well, and I've enjoyed it tremendously. And let's not forget here, Rob's a great guy, right? Rob does his job with dedication, and he's looking for ways to put more people to work swinging hammers, and then to really fight like hell for their rights as workers once they're in the job.
And I think what you just said is huge, because most contractors don't think that way. They think, it's going to be a fist fight, and it's not. Those people are really good people. They got kids, they got a wife, they got a family they got to deal with. They're just like you and me. They are, but what you said, they got to get their people to work. And I want to get them to work because I want to have a lot of work to get them to work. So that's the deal. And it's, you got to get to know these guys, and they have to get to know you, and they do. Don't kid yourself. They know a lot about you and a lot more than you think they do. And they know they want to test you. They're constantly testing you.
So this is kind of an invitation. I mean, if we could get to the Cisco model and say, how do we get the plumbers? How do we get the electricians? How do we get all of the different unions and trades in here? You know, we're talking to the CTA right now. The CTA hires 2,000 people on an annual basis with 20 different unions. And we're beginning to explore how to like begin to guide people towards that, using a high school and then guiding them into that. What's an invitation that we could say to the next developer that comes to our town? What could we or should we be doing in your mind, John?
Well, I think you got to, I mean, you know, like I said before, boots on the ground, so to speak. I mean, that's really what you got to do. You got to get to, you got to know, what the breakdown is of that. If you're building a high rise, it's totally different than building that stadium. Yeah. So you got to have the right people and the right trades and everything else. Okay. And you just got to have boots on the ground. Go get them. You got to have a relationship. You got to build it with them. And, it's not that hard. You just have to be, I mean, I'm hard headed. You just got to keep going and going and going. And eventually they'll see if a guy like me is driven. I mean, Cisco's been still is, after it was founded in 88 and it's still really getting better and better and better every day. It's bigger and better every day. I mean, to have you guys know about it and everybody else, it's great. So it proves that sustainability is, like I said, you get it started right, you got it. And so, those guys, what you said, Daniel, they're looking to get jobs for their people. It's pretty simple. So you produce the jobs, they're coming.
Yeah. What do you think, Pete?
I'm thinking, how do we leverage that opportunity for our kids at the high school ultimately?
Well, you know what? I think I have a little different perspective than you guys do, because I think when we were talking earlier, they asked me a question about it, and I said, I'm kind of like, again, kind of hard-headed, and I like to, I'd get right with the kids, and I would. I mean, I'd get right to them, and I don't hold back. Yeah. I've coached boys and girls basketball in grade school for years and years and years. And, I've got kids of my own, but I would like to say, you're driven to tell them what the reality of life is. I mean, I've had discussions. I have a freshman at Indiana University, grandson. He went to Glenbrook North and fell in love with welding. Now this kid's really smart, but fell in love with welding. And he's like, I don't think my parents, he'll talk to me, but he won't talk to them. It's like that. So he said, I really love this and I really want to do this. And I said, great, do it. Really? Yeah, why not? If you love it, why not do it? You want to get up every day and go worry about a spreadsheet, or you want to get up worry about the crane broke down, you want to do that? Go do what you really like to do. Yeah. And so to give you an example of how much he liked it, we went to a scrimmage practice at Northwestern 2 years ago. And it's, the stadium was only open for a year or two at the time. And, all he wanted to do when they had a little downtime between the scrimmage and lunch was to walk around the stadium and check the welds. I mean, here's a kid walking around checking the welds. Yeah.
How old was he?
Sophomore in high school.
Wow. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, wow. And even today, he's really into this.
And do you know what a good weld should look like?
Yeah, you can tell.
Okay. All right. I have
and he can tell.
Yeah, do you know what a good weld looks like, Daniel?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
But I guarantee you.
But if you give me an exemplar, I can show it to our teachers.
Are you guys teaching welding here?
Oh yeah, we have 13 welding stations. One, yeah.
So how good are the welders? They got to be good.
They're pretty good.
Well, okay.
They're pretty good.
Now welders can be an operating engineer. Welders can be in a lot of different trades, because that's a craft that is needed constantly. So, you got to find the kid, but you got to tell the rest of them, just not the kids that are in the welding thing. You got to get the ones that are not going to college and they're out there looking for something, and say, you know what, as a contractor, I'm going to give you the options available. And I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I want you to get and look at me and say, okay, this guy is almost 80 years old, and say, he's been doing this for a long time and he knows what he's talking about. So listen to what I'm going to tell you. Get a job in the construction business, because when you get to a certain age, you will realize pay's really good, benefits are really good, and the pension's really good. So your life is set. All you have to do is keep working. And you may be lucky enough, like a lot of people at Kenny were, to work for Kenny for 40 and 45 years in the trade, in the trades. So why wouldn't you do that?
What are you thinking about, Daniel?
I'm thinking about my kid who is in one of those welding stations in one of the classes at ETHS and just loves it. Has had a world opened that,
Does he need permission?
it's a class.
I understand, but does he need permission, like John just said, to his grandson? Do it. Does he need that? I mean, you've probably given it to him, but does he need it from more than?
I think sending the signal that this is a great, well, here's what I try to do as a parent, and God knows I don't always succeed, but what I try to do is say, if you are really engaged in something, if it fascinates you, if you love it, if you find yourself thinking about it when you're away from it, just do it. It can be something that I personally love. Like I find it puzzling that not everyone wants to just think about math problems all day long. It can be something that
Go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Hughes.
That's a lifelong affliction of yours, though. I've heard your story. It started when you were really young.
Yeah, it's some of our pathologies are long
Yes, they are.
acting, or it could be something like welding that is never grabbed me before. But your job is not to do what I find interesting. Your job is to engage with something that you are passionate about.
That part right there. That is exactly it. I think we project, I think one of the pathologies of parenting is we project onto our kids maybe what we wanted for ourselves or what we envision out of fear for them, as opposed to you're interested in this, you're curious, go for it. And here are the opportunities that are there. I think that's a big deal. That's big.
We're going to wrap up here in a second, but John, what are you thinking here right now? First of all, thank you for coming to the Trade Collective, a few weeks ago, and your energy for what we're trying to do and the models that you've built in your career are exactly what we need. Your voice, your experience, are amazing. I mean, you talking to 605 Davis or the next 10 development projects and helping us. What I can say is not going to be at all what you would say. And so thank you for your offer to be with us, not even just today, but just in general. We need your help to coalesce the construction industry to realize that this community is grappling with something and would like to move it faster than slower. Mm-hmm. So any response to that? First of all, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I mean, I think it's a great thing because that's where I came from. So I came from doing this at a different level and, different ideas, so to speak. But I said, and I've told you this, and I didn't tell you this because I had just met you, but I mean, I would say I'd love to get those kids. I'd love to get right at the kids, and tell them, I mean, here's reality, guys. Okay. And, I would tell them, I said, you're looking at somebody that is telling you right now, if I had to take my college education and do it over, would I have? Nope. I'd be back working out there learning like I did. Basically, you could say I got a PhD. Why? Because I started in the bottom, cleaning toilets, microfilm, microfiche. And my grandfather's, that's where you're going. The next thing you're doing.
What is microfilm? Just kidding.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
So anyhow, but my point is you learn from, you grow into this business and you learn. They have that same opportunity, and let's give it to them. Let's give them the idea of, and it doesn't have to be in the construction industry. There's tons of jobs out there. But like you said, if you find something you like, holy God, do it. Yeah. Just go do it.
Yeah. Daniel, closing thoughts.
You kind of apologized for being a little too foo-foo, so I'm gonna one-up you here. I just think, it's worth asking ourselves the question of what exactly are we doing here on this planet, right? Life is complicated and sometimes hard, and what's the point of it all? And I think when we find our passion, when we find the thing that we can't stop thinking about, when we find the thing that just draws us in like a magnet, and when we find something that we can either do in collaboration with other people who we care about, or even if necessary on our own, but it's when you're falling asleep at night, it's in the back of your mind, and when you wake up in the morning, it's in the back of your mind. That's humanity at its best. that feels like on some level the purpose of life. And I think that I've been really struck by Pete's questions and the way Pete's been pushing during this conversation. I think it's really, really important and on the money that we've somehow superimposed on the way that we bring up kids this very rigid set of formulas. This is right, but that's wrong. This is good, but that's bad. This will make me proud of you. That will make me want to redirect you. And we're pushing people away from the passion that drives them, that allows them to be their best selves. And so I guess what I'm thinking is, let's not do that. Let's do the opposite of that.
I feel like if we left here, thank you. I got to hear more Mayor Daley stories. I mean, Mayor Daley was like, give me a good Mayor Daley story.
I don't know if I have any really good ones other than the fact what I've told you before. I mean, I was walking down the street in downtown, going to get the car, heading home for dinner. Limo pulls up. I had no idea what it was. Cop gets out and he goes, in the car. So the mayor's sitting back there.
You're on the sidewalk?
Yeah, we're going to dinner.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you know how I said that the mayor of Evanston has less specific powers than the mayor of Chicago? That's one we don't have.
Good flood story, though.
Yeah.
We were down at the Taste of Chicago. This is the pre-taste thing. And I'm walking back through the park. And we're standing there on the corner trying to catch a cab. All of a sudden, this guy pulls over in a cab. He gets out and he goes, Mr. Kenny, get in the car. It's all yours, buddy. Okay. Fired up. I mean, the stories came out of that flood were incredible. And it's just, I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
I could go on telling stories all day long.
Yeah. The one thing he didn't listen to you on, could you just tell us if you don't mind?
Well, he never asked.
Is that appropriate?
Oh, Meg's Field. I don't care.
What? He didn't call you?
No, he didn't ask me.
Why didn't he ask you?
I have no idea.
Should he?
Probably because he knows
Probably knew what you would have said.
Do what you were gonna,
And he didn't want that answer. No, he's a special man, and great. I just had a lot of fun working for him.
I think that goes to the way I hear you, the genuine respect that you have for him, that I have for you, and the appreciation. That's how we build these things. That is how we build these things.
I think, and I'm getting, just sitting here, first time I ever met you, but I'm getting here sitting, watching you and watching your mannerisms and watching you talk, and I can see your thought process. And, you guys in the position that you're in don't get enough credit for what you're doing. I don't care what anybody says. To sit there and have to do what you're doing and handle all of that.
And to not have the real power? Well, I'm just saying, and to not have the real.
I don't know how that works. I guess I heard it, but I'm just sitting there going, to me, in Evanston, he's the boss. Now, somebody might tell me I'm full of you know what, but if you're tasking me, he's the boss because that's all I know. So he's the boss. And I'm just sitting here watching him. And if he's got the desire to do what we all want to do, make life better for his constituents, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Make life better.
Yeah.
I agree.
Pete, I think we're done with the podcast. I think we can retire. I don't think there's anybody else that could come in and make it.
High water mark.
Yeah.
Done.
Why you got to bring up water? That's the flood stud.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on Daniel's nickname in the comments if you want.
No.
They will have plenty to say, I'm sure, Pete.
And water, a good portion of my life was spent right over here underneath that canal from Wilmette all the way to Addison Street. Yeah, that's in 75. It's actually 76 we started the deep tunnel. And that's where I spent a lot of years.
MWRD needs a lot of people. So that's another conversation for another day. But
it's also somehow you have to have somebody research these things you said, because you've thrown that out, 2,500 here, 2,000 here. What jobs are available? What are they looking for?
Yep.
So then you can target the jobs that they're looking for.
Yep.
Because if they're not all going to be, it's kind of like the kid you took to App the other day. Great place to work.
Oh my gosh, you guys! Can I just tell you real quick? We took 5 young kids out to Apt.
Apt, yeah.
Apt University.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who Grandpa Apt was, but that guy knew how to run a company. Okay, The amount of respect and care for their employees there was incredible. We got a behind the scenes tour, and we brought 5 young people too, and they all signed up. It was amazing. They've taken one of our young kids, but Apt is just an amazing company. That's what's fun about this, is getting to know companies and who's willing and interested.
Right now I'd say, I don't know, auto mechanics is a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they make a lot of money, but there's not enough of them. So,
we know. Yeah.
You really need to have that, because it's just a thing we have to have. I mean, our cars break down. They got to get fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you got to have them. And
yeah.
I mean, there's tons of stuff. And you guys got the whole world out there to go get.
I know.
You just got to have boots on the ground, go get it.
All right. Well, I got to get
But
off
you got a good place to
podcast
start,
before
because that's high school comes with a reputation. I mean, Evanston, New Trier, the Glenbrooks.
Yep.
Can't beat it. How you beat that?
I know. All right, Pete.
All right.
I got work to go do.
There we go. We got work to do. We got boots on the ground, Pat.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Thank you all
Good
for
work.
joining us.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
so
having
much.
us.
It's
Really fun.
fantastic. Appreciate it.
Anything we miss?
Yeah, I think just about like the sustainability of it, like for parents wise, of like, is carpentry sustainable? Like how long our careers in carpentry? Also from,
It can't be any more sustainable. That's the whole point. Is it's so if your desire, what you said before, and you're really into it and you really love it, like my grandson loves welding. If you're into it, it'll last forever. I mean, because he would not give it up, And I don't know what he's going to do. He's at Indiana, but he's getting it. But he talks to me about welding all the time. So it's right here.
I also think this is a place where, I mean, a listener who's not familiar with all this stuff might ask, why do these guys keep talking about unions? And there are plenty of non-union jobs doing construction, even in the state of Illinois, typically on non-public funded projects or smaller projects. But the thing about entering into the trades as a member of a union is that creates a sustainability. That's a pipeline. It's continued connection to more work. It's benefits that allow the work to provide for a family. It really is something that can create a whole lifetime of meaningful, interesting, valuable work and real pay and compensation and health benefits and a pension that allows you to build a life.
Last question is, there's a lot of anxiety among parents and students around AI, artificial intelligence. One of the examples is computer science 5 years ago was the number one money-making thing, and now it's absolutely not. So trades, AI proof?
I think construction, in my mind, if you're going to do it right, is probably as about as AI proof as anything you're going to get. Because if I'm up there and I'm working on a job and I got a guy running a tower crane up there and I'm setting steel on top of a building, I don't want a machine up there running that thing. Not that it can't be precise. I want a guy up there that I can talk to that said, if I got to move it a little bit, I don't want to be talking to a machine and have a machine tell me what the hell to do. I really firmly believe that construction, not 100%, because, I don't know what it's all about yet. I don't think anybody does.
No.
You said you wanted a guy up there. Can I ask you a question just because it's been on my mind? Of the 8 young people we got into the Carpenters Union, one of them is a young woman and she hasn't been placed yet. And it is a pretty male-oriented field. And I'm concerned about our push towards this and it being so male-oriented. And I don't think we have the full answer today, but we're going to need to keep thinking about how do we make these places welcoming.
You have to understand the business first, and then you say to yourself, okay, where can I place a woman who has talents beyond belief? Okay, that we don't have. I'm not kidding you. I mean, there's places you put them in the right spots.
Anybody, you put anyone in the right spot, really?
Well, I'm talking about women because there's perfect spots for the women. A lot of them.
I mean, I guess if I'm hearing Pat's question, the way I hear Pat's question is different people are going to fit right in different places. And you want the culture of the industry to be such that if this job is right for you, I'm not going to decide that it matters whether you're a man or a woman. I'm going to see that you're right for the job and welcome you and support you and allow you to thrive. And I think look, Pat, you're right. I mean, there are professions that have been historically male dominated that have taken a long time to really be truly fully welcoming to women. And I think it's important that you brought it up, right? Just naming that so it's on people's mind as an objective is really critical. And it's one of these things where like, dude, it's so hard to be the first person. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to be the second person. It's not that bad to be the 10th.
Yep.
And so we have to be especially diligent about creating extra support and extra intentionality around welcoming the first few people who are breaking through that.
Because I know this young woman. I grew up. I watched her grow up. I know her, and I know that she hasn't been placed yet. And they have no idea what they're missing right now in the talent of her. But just because of her gender, she hasn't been picked. And so it's not a hit on anyone. It's just these are things that we have to kind of figure out and push
through. If I'm sitting here and I'm you,
yes, sir,
I'd be on the phone calling and saying, that girl has got a lot of talent and she needs to be placed now. Or you guys, I mean, if she's like a gold mine, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to force the issue just with her. I mean, I would. If it was one of my granddaughters and they wanted that job, I'd be all over that guy.
Okay. I might ask for some help, John.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to.
Great.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thanks, guys.